We doing? I'm glad to see. Didn't expect quite so many people here with the rain the way it was. Is it not on? Did you not hand it to me on? It's on mute. Better? Yay, it's working. Yeah, I had quite a commute up 400 this morning. It was fun. So this Sunday we're dealing with Psalm 29. And what I thought I'd do is just look back at Psalms and just do some reminder thoughts about what the book of Psalms is and intended to be. And then we'll look at Psalm 29, and then we'll talk about our sermon series is Frozen. Now, for those of you that don't have children, young children, particularly young girls, you may not have seen the movie Frozen or Frozen 2, or grandchildren, or any of the above. I had never seen Frozen until last week. So I just hadn't. I had boys and they're older and I just never watched it. But I did see it and I watched Frozen 2, and I got to tell you, they're both very good movies. I enjoyed them. I watched them again. The thing I liked a lot about them is that there's a lot of female strength in there. So if you do have girls, grandchildren, children, whatever, highly recommend it. So let's talk about Psalms, Psalm 29. The book of Psalms, to start with, if you'll flip for me, made up of 150 ancient Hebrew songs, poems, and prayers. Many of them were written for a choir, but it's not considered a hymn book, okay? There's a very unique design to the book. It's broken up into 5 books. What does that remind you of? 5 books. Anybody? Thank you. The Torah. All right. So here we go. Book 1 takes those first chapters, and you can see how it's split up. There's 2 types of psalms. There are lament psalms. My God, why have you forsaken me? Plenty of those. And then there are the praise psalms, which is one of the ones that we'll look at today, is the praise psalm. And those praise psalms make up most of the books of 4 and 5. It doesn't mean that there's not some lament songs mixed in there. And the same with the books 1 through 3. They're mostly lament, but there's also some praise psalms mixed up in that one, those 2 as well. Now, next slide, if you will. Walter Brueggemann is an Old Testament scholar, also a professor at Columbia Seminary in Decatur. And he's written a book on the Psalms, and he's put them into 3 different categories. He's put them into Psalms of orientation, which are the ones that we're most comfortable with. They're the ones that give God thanks for all that God's done for us. The Torah is celebrated and God's creation is praised. So that's an orientation psalm. And I listed some of the examples of that if you want to go back and look at some of those. The next set he calls Psalms of disorientation. Those are the reactions of the people to God when the world they know is broken, or when the world that you know, the life that you know, is going through a sad, hard, rough, dark place. Those are Psalms of disorientation. And then Psalms of new orientation or reorientation are kind of deeper versions of those orientation Psalms. And the one we'll look at today is a Psalm of reorientation, new orientation. Disorientation is over, and now things are good again. And so we're going to praise God for bringing us through that difficult time. That's what those are about. And then here's a graphic that another pastor put together that I thought was really kind of shows it all. You have the orientation, praise God, God saved me and made me strong. Then I get into disorientation where life happens, right? Things happen. And we cry out to God for help, or we cry out to God asking God, why? Why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to us? And then we get to reorientation, where we praise God again. God helps the weak. We trust in God. Any of that sound familiar to anybody that's been through anything difficult? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can speak to that. Certainly does. So let's look at Psalm 29. This is a very appropriate for today. The voice of God in a great storm, a Psalm of David. Ascribe to the Lord, O heavenly beings. Ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. Ascribe to the Lord the glory of his name. Worship the Lord in holy splendor. The voice of the Lord is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. The Lord over mighty waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. The Lord breaks the cedars of Lebanon. He makes Lebanon skip like a calf and Syrian like a young wild ox. The voice of the Lord flashes forth flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shakes the wilderness. The Lord shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord causes the oaks to whirl and strips the forest bare. And in his temple, all say, glory. The Lord sits enthroned over the flood. The Lord sits enthroned as king forever. May the Lord give strength to his people. May the Lord bless his people with peace. So you see the reorientation there. They've been through a tough time, and now they're praising God for all that God has done for them and remembering how great God is, all the things that God has created and continues to stand behind. So that's Psalm 29. Let's look at the next right thing. This is the song that we'll be looking at this Sunday. And hopefully this YouTube link is going to work. This is empty, this is numb. Over the lights are out. But you belong to a place I can't find. Grief has a gravity that pulls me down. It's right thing. Can there be a day beyond this night? I don't know what is true. Can't find my direction, I'm all alone. The only star that guided me was you. When it's not you, I'm rising for. Just do the next right thing. Take a step again. It is all that I can to do. The next time I'm only too far ahead. Too much for me to take. But break it down to this next breath, this next step, this next choice is all
choice to hear that voice and do the next right thing.
Probably should have given you a little background before you saw that. So this is one of the two princesses. This is the younger sister, Anna. Her older sister is now lost, as is her snowman friend and her man friend, right? Her boyfriend or sort of boyfriend. We don't know at this point. So they're missing and she's grieving that loss. So when we look at movies, I think sometimes we can read into them the theology of them as well. So that voice that she talks about, I immediately think of God, that help me, that next right thing, help me make that next right step. And I would say that there have been times in my life where things have been so dark, especially after loss of someone you love, and you don't know what the next right step is. And so you depend on God, hopefully. You turn to God for that. And you turn to God for that direction as to where do I go? What do I do next? And the answer that she gives is do the next right thing. Well, how do we know what the next right thing is? That's my question. How do we know what the next right thing is? Am I too close or something? So that's what I want you to think about. How do you know what the next right thing to do is when you're in a dark place, dark night of the soul, whatever you want to call it? How do you know? Does it matter that it is the next right thing? Does it matter, or should it just be the next step? Just take a step and see. Any thoughts on that? Do we take a step because we know it's the right one, or do we just take a step and hope it's the right one? And if it's not the right step, then we turn around and we do it again, maybe. Any thoughts? Live and learn, okay. All right. Okay. Where is God in all of this? Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Ideally, we are looking to Spirit to guide us to that right step.
Right. And how do you hear, or how do you know what the Spirit is guiding you to do? Can you answer that?
If you're looking to it,
Mm-hmm.
and be literally yourself, Lord, what am I to do in this situation? Praying about it, hearing God direct you.
Okay. Have you heard God direct you to do things?
Never thought,
Yeah. Okay. But you've had the feeling
yeah,
that you're supposed to do something. Okay. The other question I would have is, and I struggle with both of these, is how do I know that's God talking to me and not what I want to do? Oh, absolutely we do, don't we? Yeah. Yeah, we certainly do. Yep. Yep. Yeah, we take it in our own hands. That's very true. Fran, thank you, because that's the whole point of this, right? Is that we really should be doing exactly what you're talking about. But we tend as humans to take it on ourselves and we think we know what's right. It's our mind. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you have to be listening to your heart. So online, I keep forgetting to recite what they're saying or repeat what they're saying out here, but what was just said is that we already know in our heart, the Spirit's already put in our heart what the right thing to do is, but in our head, we are forming our own plans, not trusting what's in our heart. Is that basically what you're saying, Jack? Okay, thank you. And what Fran said a minute ago was that we tend to just make our own decisions instead of relying on God for direction. And then we take that step and then we look back to God and say, we did the right thing, right? And unfortunately, that's very true. Somebody over here.
Close by.
Okay. Okay, we have to step from where we are, not take a huge leap or a huge flight somewhere else. 1 foot in front of the other. Yeah. Absolutely. And many times when someone's lost somebody that they love, that's some of the advice we give, just 1 foot in front of the other, day by day. That's all you can do. Get through it. Thank you for that. Anybody else? Somebody else had a hand up somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, and then she saw the light, right? Yeah. He said they jumped over, that Anna in the story jumped over the abyss or the big gap, and then she saw the light. Yes. Okay. Yeah. It was right on, wasn't it? There's a lot of praise for this song because they feel like it addresses depression and people being in those dark places. Now, did you say people think God leads them or God leaves them? Leaves. Okay. Yeah, I'll try. All right. Help me out if I don't repeat again what you said accurately. Okay. So tell me your name. Bruce. Bruce said that he has been in that place, that dark place, and if he had stayed there, he would have died, right? And he found that he needed to just take a step in order to get out of it. And that he was talking to God the entire time. And did you feel like God was leading you out of it, or God was just there with you? Okay. Got you. Got you. So because God was with him, he felt like he was going the right direction. Is that what you're saying? All right. Okay. So I would ask this question then, if you had taken the wrong step, would God have still been with you? And how, and what do you think would have happened then? Yeah, okay, we all do. Yep. Yeah, right. Okay, all right. Right, right. Let me repeat before I forget. So what Bruce is saying is that as long as he was in motion, he felt like he was getting somewhere. And whether it was the wrong way or the right way, God was with him the entire time. And it was a circuitous route to get through there, as it is for all of us. Okay,
So regardless of the fact that it's a trial, I understood that I have trials, everyone has trials. And the thing about a trial for me was, when you get to the reward, it's so much greater.
Mm,
You appreciate
Mm.
it. So I appreciate it. Because of that.
right. Okay, you learned a lot from it. And what he's saying is he's stronger because of the trials that he went through. Thank you, Bruce, for sharing. Thank you very much. Fran.
It was a very clean experience. This young man appeared